It's certainly not too late for all 32 GMs to make at least one more blockbuster trade ahead of Week 1.
If you're the Raiders and you trade Davante Adams, what is your end goal?
The 2024 NFL regular season is less than 3 months away now, so let's dive into one player that every NFL team should trade before the season kicks off in Kansas City on September 5th. Arizona Cardinals, Budda Baker. The All-Pro safety requested a trade from Arizona during the 2023 offseason, but he walked back on it after agreeing to a restructured deal. Baker is entering the final year of his contract and already feels poised to hit free agency in 2025. Arizona's just better off trading the 6-time Pro Bowler now while his value is at its highest and garnering a return that can actually help them retool. Atlanta Falcons, Tyler Algier. Bijan Robinson's presence means that the former 1,000-yard rusher won't get much playing time in Atlanta anymore. The Falcons should do the right thing for Algier and trade him to a team that'll give the BYU product a chance to be the RB1 elsewhere. Baltimore Ravens, Justice Hill. We're nitpicking a bit here since the Ravens don't really have any notable players that they'd be better off dealing, so I guess let's go with number 2 running back Justice Hill, who won't see many carries behind newcomer Derrick Henry. Plus, Keaton Mitchell deserves additional playing time after impressing in the limited action that he saw in his rookie year. Buffalo Bills, Von Miller. Miller didn't tally a single sack in Buffalo last year, and he finished with a horrid Pro Football Focus grade of 45.4. Other teams might be willing to take a chance on the 2-time Super Bowl champion. Trading Miller could clear Buffalo $8.78 million in cap space, opening the door for GM Brandon Beane to make another big splash before the start of the season. Carolina Panthers, Miles Sanders. The Panthers handed Sanders a 4-year, $25.4 million deal following his career year with the Philadelphia Eagles in 2022. That deal quickly became a disaster for the Panthers, with Sanders losing his starting job to Chuba Hubbard. Carolina also used a second-round pick on Jonathan Brooks, pushing Sanders even further down the depth chart. If the Panthers can find a taker for the former 1,000-yard rusher, they ought to just cut their losses and give him away to the first caller. Chicago Bears, Braxton Jones. The Bears have gotten uneven play out of the 2022 5th-round pick so far. Though Jones has been a solid run blocker, he's allowed 9 sacks and committed a whopping 21 penalties over his first 2 years per Pro Football Focus. Chicago is just better off trading Jones now and finding a replacement from within, or heck, even signing a veteran in free agency before training camp commences. Cincinnati Bengals, Jackson Carman. The Bengals' 2021 2nd-round pick has appeared in just 5 games over the last 2 years, and he's made only 6 starts up to this point. Cincinnati signed former New England Patriots star offensive tackle Trent Brown and used their 1st-round pick on Amarius Mims, making Carman even more expendable. There is just no need for Carman now. They have enough depth at tackle and should be kind enough to give him a fresh start pronto. Cleveland Browns, David Bell. The Browns addressed their need for a number 2 WR by trading for Jerry Jeudy, throwing Amari Cooper, David Njoku, and sophomore Cedric Tillman into the mix, and there's just not much room for David Bell on this depth chart. The number 99 pick of 2022 has just 38 receptions for 381 yards and 3 scores over his first 2 seasons. Bell needs a fresh start, and the Browns may as well clear a roster spot for another position. Dallas Cowboys, Trey Lance. The Cowboys already have one of the league's best backup QBs in Cooper Rush, who's 5-1 as Dak Prescott's understudy. Even though he's on a rookie deal, Trey Lance still carries a $5.31 million cap hit. That is just way too much money for a 3rd-string QB. So Jerry Jones is probably better off just dealing Lance and clearing that money to open up room for another blockbuster move. Hey, the man said he was going all in this offseason. Denver Broncos, Cortland Sutton. The Broncos already parted ways with Russell Wilson, Justin Simmons, and Jerry Jeudy this offseason. May as well keep the rebuild going by trading your best remaining offensive weapon. Sutton is under contract for 2 more seasons, so the Broncos would get the best possible return by dealing him now instead of next year, when he'll have just 1 year left on his deal. GM George Paton should be able to score a decent return for the former 1,000-yard wideout that can help the Broncos rebuild. Detroit Lions, Jameson Williams. The number 12 pick of 2022 has been limited to 18 games because of injuries and a suspension for gambling over his first 2 years. Now, truth be told, the Lions just do not need Williams. They have a top-tier receiver in Amon-Ra St. Brown, a rising star at tight end, and Sam Laporta, and the league's best running back duo in David David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. What is the sense in keeping Williams when he is, at best, the number 5 option for Jared Goff? Green Bay Packers, Kenny Clark. Trading Kenny Clark would be tough for the Packers to swallow from a sentimental standpoint, but Green Bay could also clear $17 million in cap space by trading the 3-time Pro Bowler. Dealing Clark would also open up opportunities for the Packers' youngsters, namely Lucas Van Ness, Devontae Wyatt, Quay Walker, and Edgerrin Cooper, to actually grow as stars in the front 7. Houston Texans, Robert Woods. The Texans have no more need for the 2-time 1,000-yard receiver. They acquired Pro Bowler Stephon Diggs in a trade with Buffalo, forming a prolific 3-headed monster at wideout alongside Tank Dell and Nico Collins. Woods only had 426 receiving yards in Houston last season. He is entirely expendable and should be open to a new team that can give him more playing time. Indianapolis Colts, Mo Alley-Cox. Alley-Cox has spent his entire career with the Colts, but they gotta look past that sentimental feeling here and put business first. Alley-Cox is essentially a backup tight end now. The Colts would save a nice chunk of change, $5.92 million to be exact, by trading him. That money can definitely be used to find more impactful players in free agency. Jacksonville Jaguars, Roy Robertson-Harris. Robertson-Harris has posted a meh sack total of 9.5 over his 3 seasons in Duval County. His cap hit over the next 3 years is $4.8 million, $8.9 million, and $9.1 million. Jacksonville bolstered their pass rush by signing ex-San Francisco 49ers star Arik Armstead, leaving Robertson-Harris expendable. The Jags may as well dump his salary and open that cap space to make other moves between now and the trade deadline. Kansas City Chiefs, Kadarius Toney. It's surprising that Kansas City has kept Toney on the roster for this long following his dismal 2023 season. GM Brett Veach drafted Xavier Worthy and signed Marquise Hollywood Brown to upgrade the receiver room. So why is the ineffective and mistake-prone Toney still on the roster? Someone out there might be keen to take a chance on the 2021 first-round pick, but the bottom line is that the Chiefs have no reason to keep him on the roster come week 1. Las Vegas Raiders, Davante Adams. Raiders fans don't want to hear this, but, well, it makes sense to trade Adams as soon as possible. Look, he's not getting any younger, and his trade value is at its peak. The Raiders are in a retooling stage. By the time they're contenders again, Adams will be well past his best before date. The Silver and Black could potentially get a first-round pick, or heck, maybe a second and third for Adams if they were to trade him now. Just a smart move, they really should do it. Los Angeles Chargers, Khalil Mack. Like their AFC West rivals in Vegas, the Bolts are in a retooling phase with a new head coach and GM. Mack posted a career-high 17 sacks last season. He also is 33 now and has 1 year left on his deal. So trading Mack now ensures the best possible return for the Bolts, who could at the very least get like a 3rd-round pick for him. Hey, that's better than watching Mack leave for nothing in free agency, no? Los Angeles Rams, Stetson Bennett. The Georgia product was absent from the Rams throughout the 2023 season. The Rams and Bennett decided not to really say much on the matter, but it's not a stretch to believe that he is now on borrowed time in La La Land. Matthew Stafford showed last season that he has got plenty of good football left in him. Not only that, but LA signed one of the league's better backup insurance policies in Jimmy Garoppolo, making Bennett expendable. It seems like Bennett could use a change of scenery and that the Rams should do him right by actually supplying that. Miami Dolphins, Jeff Wilson Jr. Wilson is one of the better RB understudies in the league. The Dolphins just don't need him when they already have 2 capable 1,000-yard rushers in Raheem Mostert and 2023 rookie sensation Devon Achane. Trading Wilson only saves about $1.416 million against the cap, but the Dolphins may as well just let him get some reps elsewhere and focus on the dynamic tandem currently in place. Minnesota Vikings, Josh Oliver. Oliver is entering year 2 of a questionable 3-year, $21 million pact that the Vikings handed him last year. Why they're paying that much money for a backup tight end remains a question to this very day. Trading Oliver would save $4.75 million in cap space in 2024 and a whopping $8 million in 2025. To us, that is just too good of a deal to ignore. New England Patriots, Juju Smith-Schuster. If Smith-Schuster's forgettable first year in New England didn't provide enough motivation for the Patriots to trade him, then what will? The Pats signed KJ Osborne and drafted Jalen Polk, further pushing Smith-Schuster down the depth chart. There should be a market for JSS if he's willing to restructure his deal, and as we saw with Pittsburgh in 2018 and Kansas City in 2022, he can produce WR1-like numbers with an elite QB. New Orleans Saints, Alvin Kamara. Kamara is signed through the 2025 season, and it's hard to envision New Orleans committing more years to an aging player at a devaluing position. If the Saints trade Kamara before the start of the season, they'll clear $11.682 million in cap space. They also have former 1,000-yard rusher Jamal Williams and 2023 third-round pick Kendre Miller in the backfield, giving Dennis Allen and company two quality replacements if Kamara gets dealt. New York Giants, Darius Slayton. Slayton has exceeded 700 yards receiving in 4 of his 5 NFL seasons, but the arrival of promising rookie Malik Neighbors means that the former won't get as many targets from Daniel Jones this year. With Slayton entering the last year of his deal, the G-Man would be wise to trade him now rather than risk losing the veteran wideout for nothing in 2025 free agency. A receiver-desperate team might be willing to give up an impactful roster player or a day 2 pick for his services. New York Jets, Allen Lazard. Aaron Rodgers wouldn't be happy with such a move, but the Jets don't need to cater to him all the time. I mean, come on, how has that worked so far? Lazard is entering the second of a 4-year, $44 million pact that he signed last year. The Jets found a new number 2 receiver behind Garrett Wilson and free agent signing Mike Williams, so good luck to Lazard in living up to that contract this year. Trading Lazard clears up $10 million for 2024 and $11 million in both 2025 and 2026. Another team may be happy to take a chance on Lazard after his career year in 2022. Just saying. Philadelphia Eagles, James Bradberry. The Eagles bolstered their secondary by bringing back C.J. Gardner-Johnson before snagging 2 of the draft's top cornerback prospects in Cooper DeJean and Quinion Mitchell. Philly just doesn't have any more use for Bradberry, who allowed 11 touchdowns and a passer rating of 114.3 when targeted per Pro Football Reference. Throw in the presence of veteran stalwart Darius Slay, and the Eagles have every reason to trade Bradberry and clear the last 2 years of his contract off the books. Pittsburgh Steelers, Cole Holcomb. Holcomb is a replaceable linebacker on the Steelers' star-studded defense. He's only suited up for 15 games over the past 2 seasons, and trading the 28-year-old clears a shiny $6 million in cap space. San Francisco 49ers, Deebo Samuel. It's clear that the 49ers won't be able to sign both Samuel and Brandon Ayuk to long-term extensions that'll keep them happy. The 49ers ought to prioritize Ayuk, though, making Samuel the odd man out here. San Francisco used their first-round pick on Ricky Pearsall and handed Jawan Jennings a 1-year extension. The pieces are there for the 49ers to replace Samuel's production, so GM John Lynch should just trade him now and take in what should be a nice return. You know, potentially a first or at the very least a second-round pick. Seattle Seahawks, Tyler Lockett. With 2023 first-rounder Jackson Smith-Njigba ready to take off in year 2, the Seahawks can afford to part with Lockett and build their passing game around JSN and superstar DK Metcalf. Lockett is entering his age 32 season and is unlikely to be extended when his current deal runs up after the 2025 season. This feels like an opportune time for Seattle to trade Lockett, secure good value, and reshape the offense around their young talents. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Anthony Nelson. Nelson has been a fine rotational player in Todd Bowles' defense, but the Bucs have to give more playing time to young defensive linemen like Logan Hall, Kalijah Kancey, and Yaya Diaby. Trading Nelson clears $4.5 million for the Bucs. For a team that's always in cap trouble, why wouldn't GM Jason Light want to make that move now? Tennessee Titans, Treylon Burks. The Titans signed a pair of 1K receivers in Calvin Ridley and Tyler Boyd to help DeAndre Hopkins. That means there is very little room for 2022 first-round pick Treylon Burks, who could most certainly use a fresh start after an uninspiring start to his career. Tennessee won't get much for Burks, but there's no sense keeping him if they're hardly going to utilize him in the offense anyway. Washington Commanders, Fidarian Mathis. The number 47 pick of 2022 has been limited to 11 games over his first 2 years because of injury. Considering how much depth Washington has on their D-line, it just feels like a good time to move on from Mathis anyway. But hey, which NFL player would you like your favorite team to trade before the regular season starts? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton, and hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.